Hello and welcome to the Governance Discuss. On this episode, I would be running down the application process for the Emerging Political Leaders Fellowship 2026 cohort. Such an interesting fellowship because it focuses on training leaders about politics. So if you want to join politics, if you want to run for office, if you want to be more active, even if it's at the local government level, state level, or the federal level you want to run for office, this fellowship is for you. My name is Veronica Igube, and this is the Governance Discourse, where I help young people learn how government works to ensure that they contribute to the governance of our country, ensure that it develops and it's sustainable. I also teach people how to get involved in politics as well, and how you can learn and be a better leader, a better thought leader that leads with excellence and contributes to the development of Nigeria. We also share civic education as well, focus on that. And this year we have preparations for the election. We have local government elections coming. It's an interesting year, like 2026 and 2027, really interesting years. But yeah, let's get started with the Emerging Political Leaders Fellowship application. So if you're just joining for the first time, this fellowship is a non-partisan political leadership program. It is by the Bridge Leadership Foundation, and what they're trying to do is to grow and nurture, prepare leaders who would, change Nigeria, build their competency, and who want to get involved in politics. So we're looking at state level, that is at the local government and state level as well, and then federal as well. Really interesting. This fellowship is a 6-month learning experience. It's both offline and online learning. So there's a virtual leadership training session, there's a civic engagement activities, there's a cornerstone project, there's a residential boot camp, really interesting, and cornerstone presentations and a graduation ceremony here in the FCT Abuja. Now, this fellowship has been divided into tracks. You have the scholarship fully funded track, you have the paid track, and you have the self-sponsored track. So for the scholarship, it's really competitive, it's merit based. It will cover your full scholarship. That means it will cover the bootcamp travel, accommodation, feeding, everything is being provided for you. For the paid track, you pay 50%, and the foundation pays 50% for you, and you bear the cost of traveling to the bootcamp. That's coming to Abuja for the bootcamp, while the foundation would cover your accommodation and feeding as well. But for the self-sponsored track, you pay for everything: your tuition fee, the boot camp fee, both your transportation, accommodation, and your feeding. So let's go kind of to the eligibility criteria, which is very interesting. You have to be a Nigerian, obviously interested in politics. You've also demonstrated some kind of level of leadership, and civic responsibility. You have a proven track of integrity, accountability, and you are from the age of 25 to 35. That's the bracket. But they also have a wide bracket where they're saying, say, if you're 36 to 45 and you have a good application, you can still send that in. So I love that it doesn't discourage people who have gone beyond 35 years. Really interesting. You also meet the requirements to run for public office in Nigeria. So you're eligible to run for office and you have no criminal record or outstanding investigation from any security agency, right? It kind of highlights what their targets are, who it's open for. It's open for mid service level technocrats, civil servants. You can apply, political appointees and aides, past and current political candidates, Nigerians in diaspora who are interested in Nigerian politics. So they are not leaving out people who are in the diaspora but are still interested in Nigerian politics, want to run for office, or just want to learn about, politics, how it works, grassroots activists, community leaders, women and underserved groups with proven community impact. It kind of highlights what the benefits are, right, of applying for this program. It's really, really interesting. High level political leadership development, you get training from amazing faculty, and membership of the alumni, just to mention a few. The tuition fee is 400,000 naira. Tuition must be paid in three equal. They can do an optional structured payment where you make 3 equal monthly installment payments payable on the 28th of every month. So you can divide it and pay 3 times, right? That's if you're going to sponsor yourself or if you're going to be in the partly funded fellowship. So yes, let's go into the application process. So for the application process, you have to complete this online form that we're going to review now. You're going to update your CV, maximum 3 pages, and long listed applicants will submit a 3 to 5 minutes video application, right? The video application question is, why should you be selected for the Emerging Political Leaders Fellowship, and how will your leadership vision help catalyze the change Nigeria needs to see? This is really interesting. So what I normally do if I have a question like this and it's video, what I usually do is to divide the questions. So this question for your video is in 2 parts. They want to know, why should you be selected for the Emerging Political Leaders Fellowship, and how will your leadership vision help catalyze the change Nigeria needs to see? First things first, there's so many things that you need to take into consideration, right? You have to have an introduction where you're stating your name and kind of brief of what you do. Not very long, just like my name. My name is Veronica Panaigobe. I'm a lawyer, and here is why I should be selected for the Emerging Political Leaders Fellowship, right? So that's how you start, right? You start with an introduction. Let them get to know who you are before you start. Why do you want to apply for this fellowship? Another thing you itemize why you want to run, and how will your leadership vision help catalyze the change Nigeria needs to see. So you first step by identifying your leadership vision, right? Identify what are your leadership visions. What do you see? What do you dream of Nigeria being? An example is just, my leadership vision is to equip as many young people with leadership qualities. I want to be able to train, empower young leaders to be politically aware and engage in the political process. Now, because there's a lack of leadership in Nigeria, part of what I want to do is to empower more young leaders. And in doing that, I'm hosting the Governance Discuss podcast. So I'm able to break down governance, policy, leadership, drive civic education initiatives to educate Nigerians about it, because we need young people in governance, we need young people in politics, and if people are aware and people get involved, then they'll be able to make Nigeria change. Something like that. And I look forward to being part of the fellowship, and I'm really interested in the fellowship because why should I be selected? I'm a young leader who is passionate about politics. I want to run for office. State why we want to be a part of it. I want to run for office, and I'm looking to build my capacity to be able to run and be an efficient leader that would bring the vision of Nigerians to life. I want to see a more sustainable Nigeria, but I also want to understand the intricacies of politics. I want to know how the government works. I want to know what are the best strategies, how to run a campaign. why should I be selected? I'm a young Nigerian who is hungry to make a difference. I am tired of the way things are going on in the country and I want to get involved. I am hungry. There's a fire in my belly. It's burning to make a difference in the country. Another thing you have to do, like if you're doing your video, you also write a script. So I'll tell you to write a script because it's really important. When you write a script, you're able to have an outline of how you want your thought process to go, and dress properly. So corporate wear, traditional wear, dress properly. You can go the extra mile if you know how to use CapCut. If you can edit, write your name. You can just go on TikTok and just say, how can I edit a video? CapCut is easy to download. It's easy to use. It puts in an extra. So that's a leader that goes extra with excellence. Once they watch your video, they would please shoot in a clear area. Go to a place that is not noisy. Shoot in a clear area where they can see your face and articulate your point. Confidence also comes from the way that you record yourself in the video. If you write your scripts, you can just memorize some of the key points. So know the points, learn the heading points that you want to do, and just click your video and be confident and record. You can record a couple of times. You want to see the angles as well, just to ensure that your video is good. So that's the video. That's my advice for the video. But I'll tell you to start early because the deadline is 28, so you can outline how you want to apply, and please do apply. Applicants seeking full or partial are required to answer additional questions. So you have to answer additional questions if you want a scholarship: your commitment, your financial needs, civic, your impact, and how you are aligned with the mission of the EPLF. So let's go right into it. So you have to fill in your email. Okay, so I've put in my email and your date of birth. Okay, put in my date of birth, put in my age. You put your date of birth, your age at the time of this application, your country, Nigeria. Are you a registered voter in Nigeria? Yes, no, maybe. You can, whichever option. Do you have political experience? Yes or no. If you do have political experience, you say yes. If you don't, you say no. If you do, in what capacity did you serve? If you did not, it's not a compulsory question here, so you can pass this. Where and from how long did you serve? So they want to know the location, years served, and the period that you served. So they want more details. They kind of want to know, so if you've held any political experience, what was your achievement in that role? Are you currently active in mainstream politics? Yes or no. You state that. If yes, what role do you currently serve in, right? So like I said, are you currently active in mainstream politics in Nigeria? If you are, you say yes. If you aren't, you say no. If yes, what role did you serve in, or in what state? So you put that. Do you aspire to hold an elective office or serve in an appointive position now or in the nearest future? Yes. If yes, which office? So you can state that as well. Are you do you have any ongoing criminal case investigation with any national or international security body, such as Interpol, EFCC? So that one is a no. So once you're done with that, you click next. It takes you to the next page. So since I'm just doing a show, I'm just gonna kind of put non-applicable, so we can just go to the next one, right? So you put your name. So I'm just gonna do that because your last name, your family name, and the preferred name you like. I like Veronica. What gender are you? Female, male, prefer not to say, whichever you want. not applicable, your contact number as well. You put your religion, you put your state of origin, your nationality of residence. That's, I'm thinking you're trying to capture that for people in the diaspora as well. Your state of residence, your city, and when you do that, you go to next. Okay, so the next is your educational professional background, right? What is the highest level of education you have completed? If you have a BSc, you put BSc. If you have a master's, state master. If you have a PhD, you put PhD. Which of these best describes you? So if you're a private worker, public worker, entrepreneur, unemployed, whichever one you put if you're an entrepreneur. What organization are you affiliated with or do you work with, if applicable? If it's any party, you state what it is. What is your job title? So what is your job title, your current role, e.g. are you a campaign or publicity manager, project manager, whatever it is, the role you play, you state that. And now I think the next part would see if whatever track you are. So I'm going to go for the fully funded scholarship track, and you have 3 questions here. These are your scholarship questions. The Emerging Political Leadership offers. So why are you applying for the fellowship support? It's 200 words or fewer. Yes. So you can just state that at the moment you can't afford, if I'm applying, is the application fees is 400,000 at the moment. You can't afford to pay for the scholarship program. If you had the money, you would definitely love to pay, but you want to be part of this fellowship and you can't just afford to pay because of it's on the high side for you to pay. So basically why you're applying for that support, right? If you don't have a job, you can also state because I'm a student currently and my fees are being paid by my parents, my upkeep are my parents, and I don't have like work to sustain me. And even if you do work, you can just state like reasons why you can't afford it, and it's not much, it's just 200 words or fewer. In what ways do you believe this fellowship would enable you participate fully in the fellowship? So for here, it's also 200 words is fewer. The scholarship will help you because you can't afford to pay for the fellowship, to pay for your transportation to from wherever you live to the boot camp. You can't pay for your feeding and accommodation. If you do a self-funded, you can't. And if you don't get the scholarship, there's no way you're going to be able to get the learnings of the program. That will be also good for you to state. How do you plan to contribute to your community or civic space after the fellowship? This is really, really good. So what do you want to do with it, right? So you do a cornerstone project, right? You would have civic activities, right? So those things would give you in the fellowship. I think that you'll be able to develop what you're passionate about if you haven't already found that space that you're passionate about. For me, I'll give an example. So I already run the Governance Discuss podcast. So when I go and I learn more things about politics, I will come on the podcast and educate more people about the things that I've learned, share more knowledge, so to have more impact on other people who will be able to learn from it. So they are not able to go to the fellowship, but they would learn from the lessons that I would have. Apart from that, you're doing the community project, your cornerstone project. You're going to be able to do, maybe if you decide you're going to do a project in your community, you're going to help people register for their online voting. So you can just go to Cyber Cafe, have a day with them, plan, I would love to have a drive to help people register for their continuous voters card, or you can even just run like a workshop for people in university who are kind of getting to that age of 18, early voting. Try to educate them on why it's important to vote, why, and have a campaign around that civic participation, right? There's so many things happening in the country right now. There's the electoral reform, which is currently growing. You can just say you're going to start an educational program about educating people about what's happening in the legislature. There's so many things you can, say you will do after the fellowship program as well. You can mentor 2 people. You can just say, I'm going to mentor 2 people on the learnings and kind of build them. 5 people, and state that as well. That would help. But whatever you have, just sit down with it, write, have a thought process. So the reason why I'm showing you this is so that you're able to see what questions that will be there for you to answer, and you're able to prepare your questions. You can just take maybe one Saturday, sit down, start itemizing your thoughts. The application will soon close, so I don't think you should wait till Saturday, but just get a quiet time, 2 hours, 1 hour, brainstorm, writing. What I like doing normally, let me just give you an advice. When I'm writing a fellowship and applying, I open my Google most times. So there are different things I use. Sometimes I put it on my notes on my phone, sometimes I put it on Google Doc as well. I just use, and I write down the questions there, and I just sit down for a few, maybe 30 minutes, just writing down my thoughts and pointers that I want to highlight. Things, the style, what style do I want to use to write my story, and then I leave it and I come back, because normally when I do that, I'm able to write my ideas, right? And then I write a few. But when you come back the next time to read, your brain is more reactive, new ideas. You will read what you've written before and you will improve on it, and that's how you keep on going about it. Oops. So after the scholarship questions, the next part is short essay questions. The essays are really, really short. They are 200 words or fewer, so it's easy for you to do this. So share how many essays? Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 essays. Share a clear example of how you have made impact in your local community, including the type of information such as measures, metrics, signs, testimonials you collected, and explain why these are important to you to measure. Please share the results you measured or collected that best shows the impact of your work. So here they want to see an example of how you made impact in your community, but what they're also trying to see is what were the impact, right? So let's just say you had a continuous voters registration drive, right? So in order to assist people to address voter apathy, so you're addressing a problem to address voter apathy, I was able to have a continuous voters registration drive, right? And that drive, through that drive, I am assisting people register. And so far, we've registered 200 people or 100 people, and I've also had conversations with these people. So when they're registering, there's also voter education, or why it's important to vote, what to do after you register online, how to follow up, how to get their PVCs, also help people who have lost their PVCs or damaged them, or just kind of educated them. And you can even state some of the testimonials. So if I was going to write like the continuous voters registration program, I will start with a quote. The quote will be like a testimonial from one of the participants, right? I had never been interested in politics. I had always, just seen voting. I know we have elections here year on, but I never knew that it was important for me to vote. I really didn't pay attention to it till I had a conversation with Veronica. And that would show the kind of impact, and then you can quote the person's name, and that will show the kind of impact that you're having already. Start with the quote, and kind of just show the impact it has had. You've been able to impact 100 people who have been able to register, and they've promised to bring their friends. Why it was important for me to measure is so that you can know the level of impact, right? Please share the results you collected and the impact, kind of like break it down as well, like that. So the next question is, what are the values that motivate you? As you reflect on your personal, political, and professional challenges that you have experienced, how have you drawn on these values to sustain yourself or your team, community members? So this question is in two parts. What are the values that motivate you? So it'll be good for you to sit down and kind of itemize what are the kind of values, right? Integrity, inclusion, right? The reason why you want to have integrity is there's nothing better than a good name, your reputation. Wherever your name is heard, it would be associated with ethics, leadership, a leader who is accountable, a person that leads by example. You're result driven and impact driven. Result and impact driven. So you can state what are the values that hold you and why you've chosen those values. And these are the values that drive you: integrity, inclusion, result driven, impact. And let me just look like and you have community as well. Transparency is also something. Leading by example. You can just, whatever principle or values that you hold dear to you is what you should state, right? And as you reflect on your personal and political journey, what challenges that you faced, if you faced any personal challenge, political challenge, professional challenge that you've experienced, how have you drawn in integrity? Every time you're doing a work, integrity and excellence. Anytime I'm delivering on a project, you want to ensure that any project, and that's where integrity comes from, and excellence, any project attached to your name will be done well, paid or unpaid. You will deliver, and people will be able to know that anytime they call upon you, whether you're paid or you're not paid, you deliver excellent work. Your value speaks for you. You're value driven, right? Value driven. I'm just trying to write some of the values as well. So it's good, as I said, it's good you itemize them. You're value driven, and in the work that you do, you ensure that in everything you put your hand into, you ensure it's excellent. You can give an example. There was a time I'm just giving an example. There was a time in your professional life you were working, and maybe your office did not pay you for 2 months because of something was happening. Maybe you changed your account number, and it was hard for them to, I'm just giving an example, speedballing here, right? And it was hard for them to change your number. But did that affect the value of your work? Just kind of say, oh, even if you face this challenge where something happened, you were following up for them to correct your payment, that did not stop the value of your work, because you work per excellence, you want to deliver on the project, and that's what keeps driving you. Inclusion, you can say, I always try to ensure that everybody's voice is heard in the office. If I'm during my team, I ask every member, because inclusion is something that is very important. And even in drafting our policies, our documents, we want to see, how does it affect young people? How does it affect persons with disability? How does it affect, just kind of states how inclusion drives you, that in everything that you're doing, you ensure that you include people, right? But whichever example works for you, if you've worked on something, have you ever been under pressure to compromise, and how did you handle the situation? What lessons did you learn from it, right? Have you ever been pressured? So if you have ever had a pressure situation, while young people, I mean, you're a teenager, sometimes you had also situations where some friends, I'm just giving an example, you may have high pressure one, depending on what situation. But I'll just give one that people can relate to: peer pressure. Maybe you had friends and you thought they were your friends, but then they're telling you, oh, let's come and do drugs. And that's not something that your values, your principles, your integrity, you didn't want to spoil your name. You didn't want to compromise your name. You didn't want to be associated with drugs. You knew it was wrong. And how did you handle the situation? You knew that if these were your friends, you would stand for them and you would tell them the right thing. You would tell them to do the right thing per time. So in that situation, how did you handle it? You knew that what your friends were planning to do was wrong. You sat down and you educated them about the effects of drugs. And you told them, see, drugs are not good to take. This will be the effect. What lessons did you learn? I learned that if I did not speak up for my friends, and they, once you start talking to your friends, they agree with you. They'll say, okay, we're not going to do it. You learned that speaking up helps. Standing your ground on your values also helps you. So maybe if they decided to go and they decided to smoke and they didn't listen to you, or take whatever drugs they wanted to take, but they didn't listen to you, you can say you learned that you stood your ground regardless of the fact that they were not going to be your friends anymore. I don't know, I'm just putting up different situations on how you can answer that as well. Why do you want to run for office or serve in an appointed position? Right? Those are two questions. And in that first one, that have you ever been in a pressure situation to compromise your values, compromise at the office? Let's just change the 0 and add extra 0. And how did you handle the situation? So have you ever been in pressure? How did you handle the situation? What lesson? If you've never been under pressure, you can say, oh, although I've never been under pressure, I've learned from somebody who has been under pressure. I've had a friend who has been under pressure. This was how they handled it, and these were the lessons that I learned from it as well. If you haven't ever been, you can just be truthful about the situation that you're in. So that one is a 3-part question as well. So ensure that in answer you just say, oh, I've never been any other. Ensure that you answer it as well. How did you, okay, why do you want to run for office or serve an appointed position? That's one. And what changed your presence, and what will your presence bring about? So there are 2. Why do you want to run, and what will your presence be? We need more young people. We need more young voices. That's why I want to run. We need more young voices. We need more intellectuals in politics, in governance, at the helm of affairs. Especially, I'm a woman, so we need more young women. You can state the statistics of women at the national level, House of Representatives, Senate only have 4 members, 4 women. The reserve seat bill is trying to push for more women in governance. That's why you want to run. You want to try to, if you want to work in an appointed government position, it's because you want to contribute to policy development. You want to work with officials, public officials, to deliver on the mandate. You want to run because you want to get your hands dirty. You want to, be part of Nigerian history that you made a change. You want to be part of the change. You have to ensure that we get inside there. If we want to amend Nigeria, which is our home, you can't amend it from outside. You have to be inside the house to be able to see what cracks, what is leaking, what's happening, how do we solve that. What will your presence bring? Your presence will bring excellence. You're intentional. You would ensure inclusion. You would ensure that you're result driven. You ensure that results are delivered. You would learn on the job. You would deliver. The people's mandate is really, really important. And just kind of like state what your change will be. I think I like the fact that it's 200 words, so you can just do that. And once you finish, you click next. And you have track acknowledgements. I understand this is a sponsor. I understand that the fellows on the paid track or self-sponsored track are responsible for all their costs. I understand that scholarship. Okay, so it's just kind of yes, I understand that scholarship because the track I was playing. Then you upload your CV. Oh, we've reached the end. So you upload your CV. Remember they said no more than 3 pages. and they said it should be in chronological list of your employment. So you start with your employment, your academic history, and other significant activities, including award, publications, other achievements, not more than 3 pages. How did you hear about this opportunity? Others, the governance discuss. Twitter, Instagram, whatever, but here is the gov discuss. The gov discuss. Yes. Have you been part of any political leadership program within or outside Nigeria? Yes, I've been part of the EPLF Fellowship, so I'll just put that if I was applying. Are you currently applying to or being accepted to any other leadership program that will conflict with your participation in this program? No. Are you willing to submit a 3-minute video if longlisted? So they're not making the video now. So it's good that they're not making the video now, but they've told you that you have to make the video. So capture what I said earlier and then write your script, start practicing, edit on CapCut if you can. You can just learn about it very easy. Have you applied for this program before? Yes. If you have, no. Is there anything you'd like to share with us? If you have anything you'd like to share with them, if not, have you read and please submit my registration, dismiss. But we all want to do that. Send me a copy. That means we'll send you a copy, and then you click submit, and there you have it. You've applied to the Emerging Political Leaders Program. I hope that you enjoyed this. If you have any questions or comments, please don't be shy. You can drop a comment in the comment section, and I'll be glad to have a conversation about this back and forth. And don't forget to subscribe, like, share. You can share with anyone. I also wanted to add that the alumni community of the Emerging Political Leaders had an information session. It was on X. I will attach the link to the recording so you can also play that and hear feedback from the fellows as well. You can also listen to our earlier podcast, which I had with Bernice Abiko, a fellow of the fellowship, and you can learn from her experience as well. But this is an amazing fellowship if you want to be part of politics that you applied. This has been the Governance Discourse. Thank you very much for listening.